Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to Shifting Lanes Garage. My name's Chad, and yes, we are back at the dyno. Today we are actually conducting, I think it's safe to say we're conducting some science.
This is for science.
Yes, so just make sure you show this to professors. We'll make sure you get your college credit for it. But basically, what we've been talking about is increasing octane in the fuel, obviously, and then removing the intake tube. Now, from what I understand, the intake tube makes a hard 90, so it's kind of, the air has to hit and then just kind of do that.
It's very restrictive, but it's also necessary. You know, if you're driving the car on the street, you need a filtered system. On the track, you know, there's a chance of getting dirt and debris in there, but how often are you doing it? It's limited. So if you want to get a little more power, you can pull that off. In theory, it should make an extra couple pounds of boost with that off, which should, about 10 to 15 horsepower per pound of boost. So that puts us maybe 30 wheel horsepower over where we are now.
So what else we're doing today, like I said, we're messing with air, and we're actually we're adding octane booster. So what is this going to do, and why are we doing it, and will it add horsepower?
We potentially don't need to put that in for what we're doing here because the car has knock sensors, they're tuned properly. If we make more boost and there's detonation, the knock sensors will pick up on that and they'll actually pull ignition timing out. This in itself can also add power because we're raising the octane level. So if I could get off on a tangent here, but if the knock sensors sense that they're happy, they'll also add timing into the car as well. So ignition timing is really where you make your power on any internal combustion engine. It's also where how you can blow things up on an internal combustion engine. So,
well, power plus blowing up, it's kind of it's a scale. The more power you make, if you're not doing it right, the closer you are to blowing up. And even if you are, you could still.
So what we're trying to do with the timing is cheat how soon before the piston is at top dead center that we can start that explosion. The sooner we can do that, we're timing it correctly so that the explosion is at its peak power when the piston's right at the top of its travel, so it's going to shoot it down.
So as much force as humanly possible, pushing the piston down. You mentioned timing, and I always hear timing all the time from your old school guys who are advancing or retarding timing. Mm-hmm. Via like an old distributor or something like that. And then you hear tuners now talk about they're adding a degree of timing or taking a degree of timing out. What is like a degree of timing, or obviously timing is how soon you start the spark or how late you start the spark. Yep. But what is like a degree of timing?
So a degree of timing would be the engine has a 360 degree revolution. 1 degree of timing would be 1 degree of that. So you're essentially just, if you add a degree of timing, you're starting the combustion process 1 degree sooner to top dead center.
Gotcha. And let's just use my car as an example. Mm-hmm. From factory, how many, quote, degrees of timing does it have?
So
or just a ballpark.
I believe, in general, the newer stuff, it takes less timing. So an old pushrod Ford V8, might settle in at 32 to 36 degrees of timing. An overhead cam, a Coyote engine, I believe that naturally aspirated, they run about 25 to 28 degrees. People will go further than that on them, but you start getting into diminishing gains. So every degree gives you X amount of power, say. The more degrees you put in it of timing advance, that power might shrink per degree. So you're making more power, but you're also clearly beating up the engine a little bit.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen a lot of tuners on YouTube and stuff like that. They talk about adding timing till it doesn't really make power anymore, and then taking 2 degrees of timing out of it.
Yep, and that's typically in a controlled environment on a dyno. That's one of the best ways to tune it. You're playing it safe at that point. But as once you start making the same power as you add degrees of timing in, or making less power, you are detonating. You're making detonation, which is, that's what starts melting holes in pistons and cracking pistons and bending rods.
Yeah, because it's opposing forces. You have a force coming this way and a force coming this way. At some point, they're not going to like that coming together. So, like I said in the intro, we are actually doing this for, we'll just say science. But really what we're testing out here is, you guys will see me, I've taken this to the track and everything like that. And this is quite literally 2 hose clamps and putting a fuel additive or a octane booster into the gas tank. And like, how much does something like this cost?
Usually like 15 to 20 bucks a bottle.
So
not that bad compared to race gas.
Yeah. So for 20 bucks, we could potentially pick up some pretty significant power. I mean, last time we were here, we got our this number, 705 horsepower, which is, you've been watching the videos, you've been if you've been watching our live streams, which every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the Facebook page and on this YouTube channel, by the way, for those who want to know. We've been talking about how my goal for this thing was to be as close to 700 wheel horsepower as possible. And yes, that's kind of an off the truck number, but I mean, we didn't do anything. We didn't, cheat with the octane booster or fiddle with the intake or have just a hot tune in it. That's pretty much start it up, get it up to temp. That's what we're making, which is, I can't believe I'm
plenty.
I mean, for something that's going to be mostly dailied, it's, like Jeff said, plenty. So again, today we're going to just test on, literally, this can be done with a screwdriver.
Flathead screwdriver, yep.
And, again, we have quote unquote track mode. So the only thing left to do is get her up to temperature, get the fuel kind of mixed properly. And then we're going to go for a rip and just see how much power, if any, we pick up. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. So, I mean, let's face it, both of those numbers,
pretty cool,
are freaking awesome. I mean, safe to say we're definitely making more horsepower than a Hellcat, a ZL1, and...
Not to mention we weigh less.
Yeah, there we go, by about 500 pounds. So, we are definitely making a ton of power, which is cool.
It was a little happier up top. Here's the, let me get the cursor out. I mean, this is like all through here, below 5,000, it didn't really care. Which is typical more because that blower is RPM dependent. So the faster we spin it, it's gonna make more boost. So it did pick up on the top end some. I mean, that's a 6.8% gain. So
yeah, I mean,
that's for 20 bucks.
$10 or 20 bucks gets you 10 more horsepower. I mean,
and if the fuel has more time to mix in there, we might see a little bit more out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all things. Like, let's just say the reason we would do something like this is, let's say, go fill her up, put the octane booster, drive to the track. We'd be thoroughly mixed by then, right?
Yes. Yep.
And then we'll be making max power. And like I said, every horsepower matters when you're, let's just say we end up chasing a 10. It might make the difference.
It could put you over the edge of where you want to be.
That brings us to the next question. Where can I have my cup at?
As soon as possible. I gotta have a detail for them because this car's been sitting since August. I think it was. It's pretty dirty. Yeah. So we gotta get it clean. And then I gotta do a little road test in it because we did a bunch of chassis work to it as well.
Remember, we did the stop the hop back here. Yep. So you guys did an alignment on it?
We did a 4-wheel alignment on it. With the trans, the drive shaft, the rear stuff. We got a road test to make sure that we're giving you back a safe car. Not that it's my workmanship, but you can get botched parts sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a 100% quality control thing ever. So we just want to make sure that's, or you just want to make sure that's right, so that when I'm driving this thing, you know, the bad things are my fault.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. So guess what, guys? The next time you see me, the next time you see this car, I'm going to be driving it. We're going to be picking it up. We're going to be enjoying it. Hopefully the weather here in Jersey holds out just a little bit, just so I can get a little taste before actual spring and summer comes rolling along. But yeah, cannot, like you said, August. It is now March. It's been a while. I've been driving the C30, and then after that, a 2000 Durango. I walked by V-Spec. So, but again, guys, Blue Sky, I cannot thank Jeff and his crew and all these guys enough, man. They are awesome. Check them out. Link in the description, their Instagram, their website, all that stuff. If you want to see cool cars, their Instagram page is definitely for you. And hey, if you need something built, come. I cannot recommend anyone as high as I would recommend these guys. They just do amazing stuff, guys. But for this video, that's a wrap. Like, share it with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below your thoughts. 10 extra horsepower, that's not a bad thing. So, but for this one, that's a wrap, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
See you later. Thank you.